Is sponsored by Chili's. Not literally, because they haven't given me any money, but emotionally, I am sponsored by Chili's. You're streaming. Yes, I know I'm streaming. On Twitch, it's free. It's the first link on my link tree. You have to make an account, but it's free. If you want to watch on here, that's fine, but I have like slides and we'll look at pictures and stuff like that. So, sorry, I just ate a bag of chips and salsa so violently rapidly that like my body really just doesn't know what to do with all of that information. Oh my god, there's so many people on live right now. First, Barflen first on the Twitch live. I want to be a different color, I think. Like the light. Okay. That is a lot better. We're feeling better. We're looking better. This shirt is too small, but that's like literally fine. Yes, my Twitch name is exactly the same as it is on there. My drink of choice at the moment, this is a strawberry lemonade Truly. And I am having the time of my life. I used to drink on stream a lot. Not like drink a lot on stream, but most streams I would have a drink or two. And I haven't done it in a while. Your streams came up in therapy. Man, I love that I'm coming up in therapy. That is really the dream, honestly. The dream is for me to come up in therapy. DHDR School, thank you for subscribing. We love a resubscribe with Prime. If you have Prime and you want to subscribe, that'd be dope. What am I signing up for, ma'am? Nothing. No commitments. No commitments. Love to see the Chili's merch. Look, so I was live on TikTok before I got live here. Sorry, TikTok. Like, this is my baby. Like, this is going to be the center of attention. Not you guys. Like, love you guys, but we have a whole class. What's your Twitch? Oh, Walmart parking lot. Exact same. It's exactly the same. My therapist was excited and on board. Apparently your therapist approved. Let me add that to my resume. Gouda lover, you have not been here in so long. I switched platforms. Hell fucking yeah. Hell fucking yeah. Hell fucking yeah. Galilexia 420. Hell fucking yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. So let's get into it. We have so many fucking slides. Have y'all ever seen... Wait! We're not getting into it. You signed your divorce papers, pina colada. Bro, we've been a part of this journey the whole fucking time. And you signed your divorce papers today? We have been together through this divorce. Like, I know you're the one going through it, but like, I really feel like I'm a part of it. Congratulations. Everyone give a round of applause for signing the divorce papers. Mazel, honestly. Moot Cat, thank you for the subscription with Prime. We're living for that. We're loving for that. We're laughing for that. But anyway, we need to get into it. We're going to fucking focus today. I know normally we like dick around for like 30 minutes and then we have class, but we have 77 fucking slides. When have you ever seen me make 77 fucking slides? I never tried this hard at my actual job, teaching, or my job that I have right now. Neither nor did I try this hard. Sunny Sabrina, thank you for the follow. Doing history homework while watching history class. Please pay attention to the class. Please do not do homework for other classes when you're in my classroom. Mr. Doctor came prepared today. I spent hours on this. Y'all are going to be sick of me. Y'all are going to be sick of me. So when does your day job going to give you the planning period you deserve? I would never work on this at work. I would never do that. Me doing that, that's something I would not do. That is something I would never do. Never. Ever, ever, ever. She means business. 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 Down to business. Just switch platforms. We're loving the switching platforms. All of my lovely, gorgeous friends on TikTok Live, if you want to see the slides, they're on the Twitch. Okay, excited to learn. So what the fuck are we talking about today? If you were not here last week when we learned about the Vietnam War, fear not. I'm going to catch you up to speed. We're going to do like a quick little run through of what happened. Because last week we talked about like, why were we fighting? Where were we? It was a shorter one and a lower key one. So I tried to make it like, you didn't have to see it to understand this. So you're good, don't worry. Today we're going to talk about the My Lai massacre. Quick note on the spelling. On social media, this is how I saw it spelled. But everything online, it was my MY. So I used my MY on some, but I put it like this here because I don't know what's right. So if someone actually knows what's right, feel free to correct me. And I Googled it and it says it's MY on the internet, but I don't know. Just watch last week's on YouTube so I could be prepared. Y'all, like, I'm literally crying and throwing up. Like, crying and throwing up at how happy that makes me. Crying and throwing up that people want to watch me on the internet talk about history. Like, literally, I would have to beg teenagers. I'd be like, can you please pay attention for like 5 fucking minutes, please? So the fact that y'all are just here. She's teaching a whole college lecture hall right now. That is fucking insane. That is fucking insane. I've never thought about it that way. I'm thinking about, like, I went to FSU, so, like, they have fucking big lecture halls there. Imagine if we were all in the lecture hall. In the lecture hall. You know what I'm saying? I just accidentally kicked my desk. Almost everything happened. 300 people! If this is your first time here, fucking welcome. There's so many first timers here. But anyway, we're going to talk about a terrible massacre. We're going to talk about the draft. We're going to talk about protesting in the U.S. We're going to talk about drugs, what everyone came here to learn about. We're going to talk about media coverage and the journalism. We're going to talk about how the war ended, and then we're going to talk about the long-term effects of the war. So that's what we're doing, the juxtaposition of the vibes. Finally made it to the class. I'm so glad you're here. I just graduated FSU in the summer. I feel like you broke the fourth wall. So anyway, you're going to talk about a terrible massacre. Learning, you can make learning fun even when you're learning about terrible things. And that's my whole personality. Don't worry, if you don't have money to give me, literally don't worry. Like, literally keep your money. Like, if you're like, oh, I don't know, can I afford it? Literally keep your money. Literally. Also, I fucking ordered GoPuff and I feel bad because, like, working sucks. And she, like, brought the wrong bag, so then it didn't get here. And, like, it's just a lot going on right now. I'm on Twitch right now. Thank you to the lovely TikTok people. But anyway, we're going to talk about the long-term effects of the war on veterans, the media, etc., etc., etc. Quarter-life crisis. Quarter-life crisis. If it is your first time here, Quarter-life crisis is my chief of staff, and Quarter-life crisis runs this bitch. In fact, Quarter-life crisis, we went to college together. And she's ride or die. She's been my supporter on here. We reconnected via here. But thank you. This shirt doesn't fit me, and I just feel really exposed. Live, laugh, lobotomy. That's the best fucking username I've ever seen. Thank you for subscribing, Live, Laugh, Lobotomy. And thank you to all the people following me. Oh my god, Respect Cats, cheered, Fragile Basil, cheered, Cara Revolving. I'm loving this for us. I am loving it. Loving it. So for my TikTok people, if my phone rings and I cut out, I just have to buzz the GoPuff driver in and then I'll come back. So if I like disappear, just wait literally 1 second. I'll be right back. We have a class dress code of cowboy hats. I'm very anti-dress code, but I think I'm into it. I think we can have a dress code of cowboy hats. If I'm not. Here from TikTok, YouTube to Twitch pipeline. That's the pipeline. It's the TikTok to YouTube to Twitch pipeline. It happens every time, and then everyone gets to Twitch and is like, I should have started here. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Everyone should be starting here. You should mod Quarter-Life Crisis, and she can help manage any nasty comments. So I don't really get nasty comments. I have auto mod on, so it filters out like certain words, but it's pretty... The vibes are good here. I don't know. I think I have good internet karma. Anyway, let us continue. Let us continue. Okay, so this stream really has it all. It has government cover-up, it has scandal, it has mass protest, it has lies, and it has depression. We have literally everything here. Like, it's like a charcuterie board of history topics. Like, it's literally everything. That's why I'm obsessed with the Vietnam War, and that's why, like, it frustrates me that no one else is obsessed with the Vietnam War besides random old white dudes. And the problem is, they always talk about the weapons. I never, like, gave a fuck about the Vietnam War because anytime you would hear someone talking about the Vietnam War, they're talking about bombs, and they were talking about guns, and they were talking about weapons. And, like, who gives a fuck? That's one thing you won't hear from me. We won't be learning about weapons. We will not. We will not go into depth about the types of gun. No, I do not care. I do not care. I do not think it's relevant. I think it's relevant in terms of measuring effect on humans, but, like, I do not give a fuck. Weapons, I don't know her. I don't. So that's why I never, like, gave a fuck about the Vietnam War, because anytime I heard someone talk about it, they would just be talking about weapons. And I'd be like, do I give a fuck? No. So that's why I never cared. But now this is the holy trinity of topics. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. Thank you for all the follows, Ali Rose, D. Liam. So what did you miss last week? We're going to recap all of that right now. This is the video. It's on YouTube if you want to go back and watch it. But yeah, we're going to recap it right now. And this screenshot is old. That's how you can tell. Y'all, my boyfriend hates it, but I literally all day on Sunday work on slides. And he's like, can we relax? And I'm like, the Vietnam War relaxes for no one, babe. The Vietnam War relaxes for no one. Your TikTok about drugged out teens in Vietnam was the paradigm shift the field needs. I am the blueprint. I am the new blueprint. Forgot to thank you for including me in the thumbnail. Oh my god, yes, lemur banana. So I like to pick like one hilarious chat from... I got a Twitch thing telling me to stretch. I like to pick one hilarious chat from the stream and then include it on the thumbnail. So try and be funny if you want to be included. I'm about to shit my pants when I saw you picked me. It was hilarious. It was so funny. I didn't even have to think about it. I'm in sport mode. I'm in sport mode. I'm in sport mode. One thing that makes me feel so awkward is when I make history TikToks and be like, oh my god, have you read this book? And like, I'm illiterate. I cannot read a book. I am very stupid and I cannot read a book. So no, I have not read that book. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure I would learn a lot. Should I read it? Absolutely. Can I read it? Different story. Entirely different story right there. One day. Maybe one day. Me skipping my history class today talking about the same stuff to watch this. This one's better. You'll learn a lot here. Okay, but I mean, let's go ahead and get into it. So before we talk about the Vietnam War, you need to understand what the Cold War is. The Cold War is a war that's not a war. Basically, the US and the USSR, Russia. Should have your GoPuff driver notify you via Twitch chat. Call me Leah Michelle. Call me Leah Michelle, because I can't read for shit. But anyway, the US and the USSR were like, I want to be powerful. No, I want to be powerful. No, I want to be powerful. And it was just like a dick measuring contest for like 40 years. And neither one of them wanted to declare war on each other because they both had a fuck ton of bombs. So they were like, if I declare war on you, you're literally going to murder me so fucking hard. And if like you declare war on me, I'm going to murder you so fucking hard. So like neither one wanted to declare war on each other because the whole world literally just would have come like crashing down. So they never wanted to do that. So instead they would be like, oh, these two people are arguing. I'll take one side and you take the other side. So they basically just like exploited the conflicts of other people in order to have their dick measuring contest, if that makes sense. Every war is a dick measuring contest. Thank you, Kale Love, for subscribing. So this is my view on war. I'm not anti-war. I think sometimes a war needs to be fucking fought. And you know who should fight it? The individual leaders of that country. No weapons. You cannot send someone else. You have to do it naked and it's fucking broadcasted. Because I agree, sometimes you just have to physically fight. Like, we will only ever be so evolved as humans that sometimes we need to physically fight. But then you need to fight. You. Not those people. You. You, my brother, are going. That's what I think the rules should be. Because, like, if it's that serious to you, if it is that serious to you, make the leaders of the countries take out their hoops. Achilles from Troy Energy. I don't know what that means. When you think you're too good for war, so you decide to start another one. No, exactly. They were like, we can't fight each other. But you know who can fight each other? The Vietnamese. And then we could get mad involved. That's essentially what today's whole thing is about. Pay-per-view. No, it should be free. It should be for the people. You know in the Hunger Games how they would like project onto the sky? It should be like that. So everyone can watch it. You don't even need a device. True equality. Did the government send 15-year-olds to Vietnam? Not that I'm aware of. That didn't come up in my research, but would I be surprised? Also, sometimes like mad patriotic kids back then would like lie about their age to go to war, and it was like a lot easier to fake documents because they didn't have the internet, so it's like kind of harder to track that stuff down. So they'd have like a fake birth certificate and be like, I'm 18, send me to Vietnam, just because like the propaganda was really hitting different, but not really so much with Vietnam, more with World War II. By Vietnam, people weren't really that into it. Vietnam is like when parents take all their emotional issues out on their children's t-ball game. That might be the chat of the night. Oh wait, fuck. Okay, I got it. That was a close one. Imagine going to war before your frontal cortex was developed. So my frontal cortex is finishing, and I'm having a hard time. I thought I was going to get less crazy, but I think I'm getting more crazy. So that's not really going as planned, I would say. Okay, but anyway, basically the reason the USSR and the United States hated each other is because after World War II, the US was like, we want everyone to be super into capitalism, so we want to spread capitalism so that everyone will want to trade with us, and then we'll be rich and everything will be great. And the USSR was like, no, we want to spread communism and make more countries be a part of the USSR because we want to be powerful and we want to have like more resources. It, like, literally just what I said. It's a dick measuring contest. They both wanted to be the power one. Yeah, opening that third eye was painful. It really is. But anyway, that's kind of why these two countries are beefing. That one, like, I felt it. You know what I mean? It's really disturbing to think about the fact that, like, there's, like, 500 people on TikTok and, like, 300 people on here. The fact that, like, 800 people just watched me burp is, like, I feel like I should care about that. Was the USSR really communist, though? So that's the thing. In the views of the United States, they were communist, but true communism has never been achieved. Like, true communism, by the definition, has never happened. I'm not an expert about, like, the government styles and communism and all of that, but just, like, from the U.S. perspective, we were like, they are communist. But if you actually look at the definitions, they are not technically communist. You know what I'm saying? But some background on Vietnam. In the 1800s, France owned Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. France took it over because they wanted rice and rubber. So basically just being like annoying dickheads and wanting resources. And this was called French Indochina. So basically when that happened in the 1800s, tons of farmers lost all of their land because the French stole it because of imperialism. Your source for this info is incredible. I fucking love a Tim and Moby video. I love it, they fucking research their shit good and explain it quick. You know what I mean? And then the Vietnamese beat the French so bad. Yeah, exactly. We're not going to get into a ton of that today, but that is true. So anyway, lots of farmers lost their land and were very poor because of this. So during World War II, Ho Chi Minh started to gather soldiers. This is called the Viet Minh Army to fight the French rulers. And that turned into a full-on war because the French just like couldn't hang and they couldn't, like, the French came and thought they were going to conquer, and the Vietnamese were like, actually, this is literally our spot, so we're going to beat the shit out of you, is actually what's going to happen, essentially. Crazy pal, thank you for subscribing. Okay, where was I? So, President Truman decided to help France because Ho Chi Minh, Ho Chi Minh was communist, again, all relative terms. And the U.S. was in the middle of that Cold War. So the U.S. was like, well, we don't want communism to be a thing, so we're going to help the French so that Ho Chi Minh won't be successful in, like, unifying people under communism. Literally everything the U.S. is doing during this time is just because the people that run our government, like, had their dicks super hard for capitalism. Now, then, forever they will, but especially then. They were really into it. Because if you think about it, like, World War I and World War II, that's when the U.S. became, like, dominant daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, the U.S. became front and center, like, I'm the baddest bitch, I'm in charge, I have the biggest military. So after World War II, they were like, okay, we fucking proved all of our shit, so now we need to, like, show the muscle and make sure everyone's falling in line now that we're the baddest bitch on the block. I obviously don't agree with that, but that's kind of the vibe check of the time period, if that makes sense. How can we connect this to Ronald Reagan? There's so much to talk about with the Vietnam War that I couldn't even get into Reagan. Like, I just could not get into the presidents individually, and I can't. I wish we lost the Revolutionary War. Okay, but anyway, Truman was worried that if Vietnam fell to communism, then other countries would as well. That's called domino theory, is basically like if one country turns to communism, then other people will start turning to communism as well. And so in 1954, France and Viet Minh signed a treaty splitting the country into communist North Vietnam and anti-communist South Vietnam. And then there was a communist uprising in the South because the government was super corrupt and everyone hated them because the government basically, like, the guy was Catholic, he, like, wasn't elected, he wouldn't allow them to hold elections, he loved the US, like, so the people were like, fuck this bitch, let's have a communist uprising and let's be a part of the North. So now you can see why the US is like, wait, we need to get over there, like, yesterday, because the US is just obsessed with fucking with people, essentially. So this is what's called a proxy war. The full definition is a proxy war is an armed conflict between two states, one or both of which is the act of instigation on behalf of other parties not directly involved. So that's like if you're fighting like through a friend, you know, it's like, oh, hey, you go tell her to tell her. Like, it's like the fucking gossip train, but of war. So that's why we're in Vietnam, because we are helping the South Vietnamese. Keep in mind, the people of South Vietnam do not fuck with that government and actually assassinated the guy, and there was no stable government in South Vietnam. So we're helping the government that doesn't exist, question mark. The people do not want us to be there. And then we are helping that non-existent government fight the northern government, but also fight the communist uprising of the people that we say we're there to help. That's kind of a summary of what we covered last week, just so you can like get where we are. Yeah, angry cowboy emoji. So this is literally kind of the same shit. I don't know why this copy and pasted twice. The same thing happened last time, whatever. So this is essentially what's happening to Vietnam. Like, they're getting their ass rocked by capitalism, imperialism, and Cold War violence. Like, my question is, when did they ask? When did they ask for this? Like, when did literally any person in Vietnam be like, you know what would be awesome? If two superpowers could take out their aggression through us. That would be beautiful. I would love that. Men will literally start a war in Vietnam instead of going to therapy when they wanted to not be French. But they didn't want this. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't ask for all this. They did not want this. I don't think anybody wanted this except the U.S. So that's why the U.S. is getting involved. Basically, whenever a country is vulnerable, the U.S. is like, a business opportunity? Is that a business opportunity I see? I think that's a business opportunity. And then, plus, always, racism is super ingrained in this. Like, literally everything, forever, always, that the U.S. does, racism is super ingrained in it. America, time to take over the whole situation. Not the Kool-Aid man. The Kool-Aid man meme will never get old. Because he just looks so violent, ripping through that wall. Like, so, this is an example of the U.S. being awful in Vietnam. Last week, we talked about, like, the military, the events, what happened, why we were technically there, the incidents. Like, we talked about more like war, here, what, when, why type things. But the My Lai massacre is just like a really specific example of something terrible that happened. So it was one of the most horrific incidents of violence committed against unarmed civilians. Basically what happened is the soldiers arrived shortly after dawn. They found none of the Viet Cong army. The Viet Cong was the South Vietnamese people that were having like the communist uprising, like the people in South Vietnam that formed together for the communist uprising. So they didn't find any soldiers here. Instead, they just found a village of people just like preparing their breakfast and vibing and just like being people living in a village. And the villages were rounded up into groups as the soldiers inspected their huts, and they only found a couple of weapons in the huts, which is like pretty normal that people would have a couple of weapons. I don't think that's that weird. But because of that, Calley, who was the lieutenant, William Calley, ordered his men to begin shooting the villagers. So again, no military presence, no shots fired, just a couple of weapons that were like held in people's homes. Holy shit. No, it literally gets so much worse. Like, I know we're literally on slide 12 of 77 and you're already like, holy shit. Like, I'm gonna blow your mind even harder, and not in a positive way. Some soldiers balked at Calley's command, but within seconds, the massacre had begun. So some of the soldiers were like, what the fuck, bro? We're not just going to start shooting people. And then some of them were like, I guess we are going to start shooting people. Because keep in mind, a lot of people were on drugs. Calley himself shot many women and children and men. Mothers were shielding their children, and children were trying to run away. Like, it was literally, I'm not going to get into like the mega details of it, but it was like literally a massacre on all fronts, as you could possibly imagine. This was, and we're going to look at a timeline, but this is like 1960s, 70s. It's mainly the years we're talking about. Huts were set on fire, and anyone inside who tried to escape was gunned down. In addition to killing unarmed men, women, and children, soldiers also slaughtered livestock. They assaulted, like trigger warning there, sexually assaulted an unknown number of women, and then they burned the village to the ground. So like, literally, for no reason, this happened. Like, there was no shots fired at them, nothing. Who was Callie leading again? This was like I forget what it's called, like the group of soldiers. Command? Yeah, a command. Like, it was a group of soldiers. What the fuck? Why is this not taught? No, literally. It's being taught right now because the U.S. school system just decided to not go over on this. What's this massacre called? The My Lai massacre. Whitewash history. Yeah, pretty much. No one. The U.S. military. We did it, Patrick. We saved the city. Also, if you're on TikTok and you want to see the slides and the memes, we're on Twitch. It's the first link in my little link tree guy. Solid meme. Thank you. So, this is a quote from a soldier at the scene. He said this to a reporter. He said, "I saw them shoot an M79, that's a grenade launcher, into a group of people who were still alive. But it was mostly done with machine gun. They were shooting women and children just like everybody else." And Callie was reported to have dragged dozens of people into a ditch before executing them with a machine gun. And again, not a single shot was fired against the soldiers. That is also in the little like quiz trivia game at the end. That's a question. How many shots were fired? 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. So it reportedly only ended after Warrant Officer Hugh Thompson, who was an Army helicopter pilot on a reconnaissance mission, landed his aircraft between the soldiers and the villagers and said, "I will literally open fire on you if you continue to attack these people." So who knows what would have happened if this man had not just been like in the area and shown up, because again, he literally landed his plane and was like, what the fuck is going on? Because he was like flying around trying to gather information. So that's how he saw this. So it's crazy that like if that man had not seen this like literally never would have probably come out, in my opinion, or been stopped at all. Like, who knows what would have happened after this. See, this meme is an example of how you can have fun while talking about serious things, because I'm not making fun of the serious thing. That's like the rules, you know what I mean? It's just the rules. A local high school is doing MASH as a musical. Wait, what? My South Viet parents deny that My Lai happened, obsessed with the U.S. Oh, propaganda goes hard. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so cover-up of the massacre. By the time it ended, 504 people were dead. Among the victims, 182 women, 17 of them were pregnant, and 173 children, including 56 infants. So when I said this was literally a family village, like, I was not exaggerating, it was fully a family village. Knowing the news would cause a scandal, officers higher up in the command immediately made efforts to downplay the bloodshed. They were like, hey, we're actually not going to talk about that. That never happened, so we're just not going to talk about it. I'm disappointed but not surprised. I mean, oh, they covered up a terrible thing that they did? What? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's crazy. I'm shocked. I'm so shocked. Someone asked what resources I recommend to check stuff out. So because I told you all I can't read books, like I literally just can't do it, I get most of my information from the streams on history.com, Britannica, Wikipedia sometimes, but depends on the topic and what the sources are. What's the other one that I really like? I use Khan Academy sometimes. I really like short form internet stuff. I use Vox a lot. I really love Vox. Vox, not Fox. Vox. And then there's like a military wiki fandom website that weirdly has like the best unbiased, well-sorted information ever that I just happened upon. It's another place I like to learn stuff. I feel like the best way to get unbiased information is to get information from lots of sources and then just think about what you've learned and what makes sense to you, in my opinion. Also, Yale's podcast, I've been listening to podcasts more than reading because I have a terrible time paying attention when I read most of the time. Okay, so let's get back into the Vietnam War. I mean, not let's get back to talking about the Vietnam War. Cover-up continued until Ron Rittenhauer, a soldier in the 11th 11th Brigade, who had heard reports of the massacre but not participated, began a campaign to bring the events to light. He started writing letters to President Nixon, the Pentagon, the State Department, Joint Chiefs of Staff, and several congressmen with no response. So then he gave an interview to investigative journalist Seymour Hersh, who broke the story in 1969. So it was still kind of like, not right after, but it wasn't like it came out decades and decades later. Yeah, because literally he heard about this massacre and was like, I don't give a fuck if I wasn't there. Y'all are just not going to report this or talk about it at all. Like, also, if you just got here, look at my Chili's cup. It says Chili's Girl Summer. Welcome to Chili's. That guy passed away. Rest in peace. Damn, this is a heavy stream. Like, for how much fun we're having, we're talking about a lot of heavy stuff. That's, like, probably not ideal. We are. Seymour Hersh breaks the story. So on November 12th, 1969, this story broke after he interviewed it, and this is part of the quotes that appeared in this paper. It said, William L. Calley, 26 years old, is a mild-mannered, boyish-looking Vietnam combat veteran with the name Rusty. The Army is completing an investigation of the charge that he deliberately murdered at least 109 Vietnamese civilians in a search and destroy mission in March 1968, see a year later, in a Viet Cong stronghold known as Pinkville. So other quotes from, I thought you meant Snoop kicked the bucket and I was afraid, oh no, Snoop Dogg's alive. Other quotes, it said, Calley had been formally charged with 6 specifications of mass murder. Each specification cites a number dead, adding up to the 109 total, and the charges that Calley did with premeditation murder. Don't like this word. It's offensive and not the word, but it is in a quote. Oriental. Human beings whose name and sex are unknown by shooting them with a rifle. The Army calls it murder. Calley and his counsel and others associated with the incident describe it as a case... My fridge just made the weirdest noise. Describe it as a case of carrying out orders. The order to clear the area was relayed from battalion commander to the company commander to Calley, the source said. Like, maybe use your critical thinking skills. When they say clear the area, your assumption is to kill 109 civilians? You couldn't even radio them to ask a clarifying question? Be fucking for real. Be fucking for real. When they say clear the area, oh, I just assume that's what he meant. No, you didn't. Shut up. Literally shut the fuck up, because that's not what anyone would assume. Calley's attorney said in an interview, this is one case that should have never been fought. Whatever killing there was in firefight whatever killing there was in a firefight in connection with the operation. You can't afford to guess whether a civilian is Viet Cong or not. Either they shoot you or you shoot them. That was very much the attitude of a lot of the military leadership in Vietnam, because they're fucking racist and literally would be like, oh, I don't know if it's a man or a woman. Like, yes, you did. Use your critical thinking skills. They were just like committing mass murder against all of these people. But the other part of it was the Viet Cong was like the southern communists and the Viet Minh was like the northern communists, and they were working together and they didn't wear uniforms or anything. So like the US soldiers were just like, they didn't know how to fight that fight. Like, these people were using tunnels. They had all these different types of strategy. It's like guerrilla warfare. They were wearing like camo and blending in a lot, and like our American military just didn't know how to fight in that kind of conditions. So that's like part of the reason they were flopping really hard and just killing everyone, because they just like didn't know what the fuck was going on. And instead of, oh, I don't know, learning what was going on and figuring out a strategy, they just started killing like literally everybody. It always confused me that there were 2 communist armies, but on 2 different sides. The 2 communist armies were not really fighting each other. They had like supply routes between them and were like coordinating between each other and working for the same leadership. So like when I said we were there helping a government that like didn't exist, there was no like capitalistic government there. Massacre first, ask question later. Yeah, literally. So consequences from the massacre, the Army only charged 14 men, including Calley, Captain Ernest Medina, Colonel, that cannot be spelled that way, Colonel Orrin Henderson, along with crimes related to the events. All were acquitted, except Cali, who was found guilty of premeditated murder for ordering the shootings, despite his contention that he was only following orders. And in March 1971, Cali was given a life sentence. Many saw Cali as a scapegoat, and his sentence was reduced from, upon appeal, to 20 years, and later to 10, and then he was paroled in 1974. So he went to jail for like, I don't know, 3 years? He was sentenced to a life sentence and then served 3 years. That doesn't add up quite how I would like it. Generally, I was under the impression that if you get a life sentence, you gonna fucking die in that prison. Apparently that is not the case. So this is my theory. They needed a scapegoat for the media and for the public. They were like, fucking send this motherfucker to jail for his whole fucking life, and it'll get everyone to shut the fuck up. And then a couple years later, they were like, oh, no one's looking? You're free to go. You're free to go, BFF. You're free to go. A life sentence is only 25 years. Well, that doesn't make sense. And 3 is really different than 25. I cannot. Okay, so was this an isolated incident? 3 months, just like Brock Turner. Interesting comparison. Oh, my GoPuff order got delivered. She didn't even have to call. I love a resourceful queen, so I didn't get interrupted. This is marvelous. It's just going to sit outside for the next hours. I don't really care. The math is not mathing. It's really not. So later investigations have revealed that the slaughter at My Lai was not an isolated incident. So that's what I mean. Like, this is one that we found out about. A notorious military operation. Oh, wait, hold on. I skipped a line. Other atrocities, such as similar massacres of village at Mai Key, are less well known. A notorious military operation called Speedy Express killed thousands of Vietnamese civilians. And the name Speedy Express to go on and kill thousands of people, the fucking audacity to go on and kill thousands of people and name it Speedy Express? The disrespect. What is wrong with you? Who fucking raised you? I'm still burping. Where was I? So, Major General Julian Ewell had the nickname the Butcher of the Delta. So, like, when I'm telling y'all that the Vietnam War is a fucking fever dream of, like, white male military violence, that's what it is. Like, this is video games, like the weirdness that happens sometimes to people when they play video games. This is what's happening in real life. Like, that's absolutely what's happening in full real life. It's really insane. Okay, so then the U.S. institutes the draft. The draft? They instituted the draft 2 weeks after the My Lai massacre story broke. Imagine hearing about that in the media, and then the government's like, we bought you a ticket. You're on the way. You're also going to go there. What? What are you talking about? That is crazy. That is insane. So basically, we did the draft because we needed more men to fight. It was under Johnson. So conscription is all men between 18 and 26 could be selected and forced to fight. Not so fun fact, my dad almost got drafted. So that would have not been ideal. Can the U.S. still do drafts? Yes. They treated Vietnam like a violence simulator. No, literally. Beyond infuriating, yet exceptionally American. That's the truth right there. Also, if you're on TikTok right now and you want to see the pictures, you can come to Twitch, and we have pictures on here, and you can like see what's going on. We're about to look at them. But anyway, December 1st, 1969, the first draft lottery was held since World War II, and the drawing determined the order of induction of men born between January 1st, 1944 and December 31st, 1950. I'm not going into the details of the draft, but they do it by birthday. So they like draw a birthday, and if that's your birthday, you get the worst birthday present ever, and then you have to go to war. So they drew like 2 days before my dad's birthday. He said he was like shitting his pants. It's beyond me why soldiers commit sexual violence. Why is there no accountability? The other soldiers are just chill with it. So this is the crazy thing about the military, is that they do everything in their own way. Twitch name is a Walmart parking lot. The military, like, they have their own courts, they have their own rules, they have their own systems, they have their own everything. So, like, the military shit, you really just can't compare because it's so weird and, like, they just don't give a fuck about anything. Like, sexual assault is so rampant in the military, and so many people, like, don't talk about it in the military, and it happens to so many people in the military, and then they get, like, convinced to not talk about it. It's literally just a whole mess. But anyway, we have the draft now. Which is wild to me. Like, if I got drafted, immediately no. Immediately no. My favorite question is when men are like, oh, if you're a feminist, do you think women should get drafted? I don't think anyone should get drafted, because that's really weird. How is drafting not kidnapping? How? Explain it. Explain how being drafted is not kidnapping. What's different? I'm waiting for someone to point out one difference between getting drafted and getting kidnapped. Or, like, human trafficked. Like, I'm waiting to hear it, and y'all are silent. I'm a conscientious objector, but I don't know how long the government will honor that for. And conscientious objectors, it depends on, like, the draft that you're doing. Also, I forgot to put deodorant on. I can, like, literally smell myself, and it's not ideal. But anyway, conscientious objectors, a lot of times they just put you in non-combat roles. So they're like, oh, you don't want to fight? Have fun in the fucking kitchen. Thanks. Or like office roles and things like that. Yes, so we're going to talk about the media and TV and all of that. Okay, so let's keep going so we can talk about that. So I want to give you some stats on the Vietnam War draft. Also, this is going to be in the game. 2/3 of the soldiers were volunteer and 1/3 was drafted. That's in the game. That question is in the game. It is in the game. In the game. That's why abortion and birth control is still protected by the military. Exactly. The military does not fuck with kids. They are not into that. That really harshes their vibes. They're not into it. But anyway, the draft board would call out and evaluate the men. Most of the men were poor people of color from working class families or rural farming areas, or one more, all of the above of those things. Most white upper middle class rich men were deferred for having valuable futures. Valuable futures. Oh, I'm sorry. What? What? Valuable futures. So you could defer if you were medically unfit. So, like, I think Donald Trump deferred for having bone spurs, which, like, what is that? You could defer if you were married with children, or if you were in college. So anyone that had, like, the financial privilege to go to college was like, I'm ready to learn. I actually would love to get a PhD, and I'm enrolling today. So that's what a lot of people did. And then a lot of people got married and had babies to not go. Valuable futures doing what? Exploiting people? The poors aren't really going anywhere. Send them in. That's literally our government's whole take. Like, that was the whole plan. That was the whole plan. Which is so disturbing. So some draft resistors were put into jail. Some fled to Canada. They're called draft dodgers. I am honestly I would do that. Like, if the government was like, women can be drafted, and they called my social security number, I'd be like, I love Canadian bacon, and I'm actually here right now. So I'm busy. I can't come because I'm Canadian now. My grandpa enlisted but was stationed in Germany. Muhammad Ali. How much did I miss? I just joined. We're out here. You know, we're out here. Here we are. My Viet grandpa cut his thumb off so he didn't have to go to the war. What? That is like a baller move. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, that is do not fuck with me energy that I've never seen before. I'm sorry. That's just real. Wow. I was not expecting that. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Every time I accidentally kick the table, I freak out. Okay, so where was I? In 1968, they created the lottery, and like I said, drafted men on their birthday. And between 1964 and 1973, the U.S. military drafted, and that's the year of the whole war. They started the draft in 69. The U.S. military drafted 2.2 American men out of an eligible pool of 27 million. So 2.2 million people got drafted. So I don't know if you want to win this poll. I have a little poll if you want to vote, and your little vote comes up on the screen. But if you were a young man during this time and you got drafted, what would you do? What's the plan? There's a couple options here. I'll allow you to vote if you want to vote. And if you're on TikTok Live and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? If you go on Twitch, you can see my screen and there's like slides and pictures and voting and all these things telling them that I'm gay. I think I copied this slide from when I was teaching, so I think that's why the gay one isn't on there. Holy shit, that's so many people. How many came home? Oh, I don't know the specific numbers of that. I should have looked that up. We'll talk about fatalities, though. I would literally go to Canada. There's a poll feature on Twitch. I know, they just added it. That's so exciting for us. How hard was faking your own death back then? I think faking your own death was probably really fucking easy back then because they didn't have the internet to look that kind of stuff up. There's a website to see if your birthday would have been pulled for the draft. I don't like that. I don't know if I want to know that. My dad was in Vietnam 67 to 68. Pretty sure 20,000 Americans died, but 750,000 were deployed. No, it's more than 750,000. I just graduated college, so I don't know, fake a pregnancy? Yeah, I wonder how hard they checked for that, too. Like, maybe you could fake results relatively easily. I would just put a basketball under my shirt and be like, hey. Wait, educate me. Being gay gets me out of war? Well, back then, they were, like, mad homophobic, so they didn't let gay people be in the military. But I wonder, like, desperate times, if during a draft, they were like, we'll ignore. I don't know. If someone knows, we'd love to know. But anyway, looks like our most popular answer is go to college, then flee to Canada. Fake my own death is also coming in. Just Mr. Shoe's wife on Glee vibes. Don't ask, don't tell would have applied. Thank you. Don't ask, yeah, so it was like, oh yeah, you're gay. Proof it. Gay gets automod. Joke's on y'all, I have crippled privilege. I think this is my theory. If they tried to draft me, I would show up and I think they would literally look me up and down and be like, no. Oh my god, I just spit all over myself. Like, I think I just have the look of, like, someone who wouldn't be good at war. Like, I look like I'm not good at camping. Like, that's my aura. Our son couldn't register for college without registering for the draft. My asthma immediately excludes me from any service. Do they send dyslexics to war? I'll show up in a crop top and hoochie daddy shorts. If I fail every drug test, that would work. I'd commit treason. I'd be getting my PhD, literally. I'd be like, oh, I'm learning. I love learning. I love to learn. I'm having an amazing time. The U.S. government, when you point out that they're sending non-consenting men to die for their country because they're mad that other country isn't democratic. Like, this just feels really hypocritical. Like, I feel like during the Vietnam War, the U.S. government just needed to take one step back. Like, they just needed to take a step back and be like, what are we doing here? Like, what's the win? What is the objective? What's the goal? Because you know how you just get tunnel vision so bad on something and then you end up being like a massive idiot because you're just not thinking about anything else? That's the energy I'm receiving here. That is fully the energy I'm receiving here. And I'm not liking it. And I'm not loving it. By any means. I do hate to break it to the neurospicy friends. While they say they won't let us go to war, they actually are sending us to war. That's terrible. That is terrible. I hate it here. So conscientious objectors. Because the military brought the war home, a lot of people didn't want to fucking go fight. So the draft continued to fuel like anti-war cause because people were like, okay, I already didn't fuck with the war, but now that the war is required, I extra do not fuck with the war. So a conscientious objector is an individual who has claimed the right to refuse to perform military service on the grounds of freedom of thought, conscience, or religion. And in some countries, conscientious objectors are signed to civilian service. So you can be like, I'm against it, but then a lot of people would hate you, and it was like a whole thing. So we're going to look at some anti-war shit. For Iraq and Iran, they told us people to lie to enroll in the military about being not neurodivergent. Oh no. Oh no. Immediately no. But anyway, here's one of the protest signs. I love this. I don't give a damn for Uncle Sam. I ain't going to Vietnam. Like, a lot of people were literally just like, that has nothing to do with us, and I don't fuck with it, and I'm not into it, and I'm not going, and you can't make me go. So, let's get into the fun shit. Let's talk about the anti-war movement. Anti-war protesters continued to have like marches and demonstrations all over the place. And then in 1970, Nixon announced that they were also going to invade Cambodia. So at Kent State in Ohio, local National Guardsmen were called out to control an anti-war demonstration, and several of the guards fired on the protesters, and they killed 4 students and wounded 9 others. So then even more protests started coming up all across the country against the Vietnam War, because like, not only do you have the draft, which is unethical, our country is like supposed to be based on the idea of like freedom of expression, and people are protesting and they're getting shot at on college campuses. Like, the vibes are just getting like really out of control in quite literally the worst way possible. Trigger warning, gonna show you photos of the Kent State shooting. Nothing super insane, but it's bad. They're super in black and white though. And again, if you're on TikTok Live and you want to see the photos, you have to come to Twitch. I love you. Peace be with you. A Walmart parking lot on Twitch. It's free. Love to see you here in a couple of minutes. But just so you can see some photos, this is like a really famous photo that this really fueled the anti-war movement, because they were like, even people that were neutral on the war were like, someone got shot for being against the war. Like, that's really un-American. Like, people were super not fucking with this. They were not into it at all. And then here's like, you can see the students protesting and the National Guardsmen right here. Here's a photo in color. Not sure how there's this one in color. Here's another photo from other perspectives, so you can see the National Guardsmen there, and then they're throwing, I don't know what this is, some kind of like tear gas, I guess. And then here's people running after the shooting started, and then here's again, they're throwing tear gas at the protesters. So again, like, looking at these photos, you're like, what the actual fuck? Like, this is in American history. This is crazy that you never learned about this in school. It's almost like they don't want you to learn about it in school. Almost. I lived on the hill where this shooting was. Are there ghosts? The way it's never been safe to be a student in America. The vibes are putrid. Womp womp. Womp womp. Yes, ghost. I was like a little bit joking, but that's wild. Martha Speaks has been subscribed for 6 months. Okay. Thank you. Subscription for 6 months. Oh my God, I cannot believe we've been here for an hour and we're literally not even half done. Icon, legend. Okay, so many younger Americans became frustrated at their inability to stop the war. Because again, if you were here last week, we never declared war. This whole time, we are just supporting South Vietnam. We never declared war. We never declared war. Congress never declared war. Congress told the president, you can take any means necessary to stop the violence there. What the fuck? Burn your draft card, kids. Yeah, that was like a rallying, like, burn your little draft cards. Okay, so this led a lot of, like, college students to kind of question the U.S. What is our government doing? This is mad stupid. So a large number of kids, young adults, concluded that the war was caused by the American system of competitive capitalism. Because again, we are there because we hate the USSR and want to spread capitalism. So some even decided to reject the society altogether, preferring to drop out and join counterculture. So counterculture is that kind of like, fuck the man, I hate the US government. Like, I think I fit into that category. And that kind of became a thing because of the Vietnam War, because all these people were like, this is a war that our elected representatives in Congress never declared war. We never got a vote on it. We're being drafted against our will. We're having to go kill people without our consent. We're protesting and we're getting shot. And we're telling our government again and again and again and again that we don't want to be a part of this. And they just don't listen to us. So it's like, what are we doing here? You know? So this kind of really contributed to like that 1960s youth culture and counterculture. Here's some other fucking baller photos of protest. End the war in Vietnam, abolish the draft. Here's a sit-in in front of, I think this is like in Washington, D.C. And then Vietnam for the Vietnamese, let's get out. Because that's what they were saying is like, the Vietnamese people are fighting against us. Like, this is their situation. Like, there's no reason for us to be involved here. And then you have another big protest here. The signs are pretty cool. Respect 1954 Geneva Accords. War erodes the Great Society. Here's another protest. End war, end poverty. And then get the hell out of Vietnam. This is a really famous photo of this woman holding up flowers to the guns. And then Vietnam veterans against the war. That's the real kicker to me, is that you have motherfuckers who get home from the war and they're like, fuck that war. We're not winning that war. Let's get the fuck out of there. That seems like the first opinion we should be listening to. Oh, the Great Society being America. The Great Society is like a reference to a time period shortly before this where they created a lot of social programs like Medicare, food stamps, Section 8 housing, things like that. And it was called like the Great Society, making sure like everyone's taken care of. And a lot of those programs were cut in order to pay for the Vietnam War. So when they say Great Society, they're referring to like the specific programs that were cut as military like spending really increased. Didn't John Kerry testify before Congress as an anti-war vet? No, I didn't know that. You might be right. I just don't know. Get out of Vietnam. Here's another this is from Kent State. More from Kent State. Here's another pic from Kent State. And then here's that other picture from Kent State. Okay, so I didn't want to use the word fun, but I couldn't think of another word. So fun facts about the anti-war movement. Muhammad Ali was a prominent American who resisted being drafted into service into the Vietnam War, and the anti-war movement mostly began on college campuses by a leftist organization called Students for a Democratic Society, which began organizing teach-ins, where they basically would like have a little class. Oh my God, we're doing a teach-in right now. This is really meta. I'm literally watching at Kent State. Chills down my body. But anyway, that's crazy. We're doing a teach-in. This is like what they would do. Like they'd be like, let's fucking talk about this because you need to learn about it, and it's fucked up. That's kind of their vibe. This is a teach-in. Has an out-of-body experience. Okay, so the Vietnam War was costing the U.S. $25 billion a year, and it led to a reduction of the social welfare programs, and it caused rising inflation. So people were really not into it. It was not a vibe, and people were not into it at all. Thank you for your service with this. 28 years old and never learned about this in school. Yes, you're welcome for my service in this. So on October 21st, 1967, one of the most prominent anti-war demonstrations took place. It was 100,000 protesters gathered at the Lincoln Memorial, and then 30,000 of them continued to march on the Pentagon later that night. And after a brutal confrontation with the soldiers and the U.S. Marshals, hundreds of demonstrators were arrested. So again, people were just like not into how little their opinion was valued by the government and how little of a fuck the government gave about the actual American taxpaying people's opinion about the war. Here's some more pictures of this protest. I read a lot of photos here. Sorry about that. But you can see very, very against the war. Bring our GIs home. You can see very highly weaponized protests, just like we see today, except the weapons are more advanced today, so that's terrifying. Here's another super grainy photo. You can see tons of people. Another photo, tons and tons of people here. Again, people being like super up close and personal with the police, lots of violence happening. Again, the flowers was a big thing, like bringing flowers and being like, we're peace and we're love. Why do you have all your guns? Like that was kind of there, whatever. Ooh, where can I see the PowerPoint? If you're on TikTok Live, come to Twitch. It's the first link in my bio. Super easy, free, you don't have to pay for it. And thank you to everyone on Twitch who has been patient with me saying that every couple of minutes for the people on TikTok. Really hoping to grow our family today and very thankful that you're willing to all interact nice with each other. Love all my students. Love all 1,000 of you right now. All 1,000 of you in my class. Love you. Peace and love and blessings. I love you. Shoving flower stems in the gun is very powerful. Yes, yes, yes. And then here's someone getting arrested, which sucks. And then you can see again, very heavily armed at these protests. And then more people getting arrested. Again, sucks. Really, actually, I know that sounded sarcastic, but I didn't mean it sarcastic. Made Twitch for the first time. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so in 1967, the anti-war movement also got a big boost when MLK went public being against the war on moral grounds. Because keep in mind, like, this is a big protest area. You have a lot of civil rights stuff happening. You have the anti-war stuff happening. And all of it is very, very interconnected. So MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., he was like, I'm against the war on moral grounds, and condemned the war's diversion of federal funds from domestic programs, as well as the disproportionate number of African American casualties in the total number of soldiers killed. So remember how I said a lot of the people drafted were poor people of color, rural areas? Like, African Americans were dying at much higher rates because they were getting drafted at higher rates in the war. And when they were there, they were more likely to die than their white counterparts. And here's some numbers around that. We're going to talk about racism, and then we're going to talk about other stuff. We're going to come back to racism. So when we finish this, don't think that we're done, because we're not. But anyway, approximately 300,000 African Americans served in the Vietnam War, and in 1965, they filled 31% of ground combat battalions in Vietnam, while the percentage of African Americans as a minority of the general population was 12%. So the fact that they're in 31% of the ground combat positions when they only make up 12% of the population, and then they also suffered 24% of the Army's fatal casualties. So they're getting drafted in higher rates, they're dying at higher rates, and they're serving in more dangerous positions in higher rates, which, like, none of that's a coincidence. And African Americans saw combat at a much higher percentage, like I said, and Dr. Martin Luther King referred to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. referred to the Vietnam War as a white man's war, but a black man's fight. And that's exactly what I mean when I say war should have to be fought leader to leader. You cannot just send people that have, like, no choice in the matter to go fight a war that you want to fight in. Like, it's really just not, that's not how we fucking do things. Let's have some humanity. Also, I'm very honored that people are making a Twitch account just to see the slideshow. Thank you. Yeah, this makes my stomach hurt as well. It's really not good. It's really not good. So, impact on the culture, we're going to come back to racism. It'll come up again when we talk about PTSD. But anyway, the Vietnam War protest inspired a ton of songs. I'm not going to read through them all right here, but some of the most popular ones are Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, John Lennon's Give Peace a Chance, and Imagine. So those kind of popular songs about the Vietnam War era. I relocated from TikTok. Love the relocation from TikTok. Could you imagine Joe Biden fighting another world leader? Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, I can't imagine that. I didn't remember my Twitch password, so I made a whole nother one just to see. When the celebs covered Imagine. The celebrities covering Imagine, like, let's be serious. Like, is that a cow mooing? No, it was someone, like, doing their car thing on the interstate. Like, the celebrities covering Imagine, just, they thought they did something. Like, they really did. Like, they were like, we're helping. We are doing something here. Today we are doing something, and it's here. The whole Imagine thing was just watered down the actual message. May Ballade, thank you for subscribing. Same vibes as Kendall Jenner with her Pepsi. Oh my god, the Kendall Jenner Pepsi. Is that note on a flag? Yes, this is the Jersey Shore note on a flag. Also, I need everyone to know this, that my boyfriend, like, remember Jersey Shore when they were in Miami? He lived in Miami near them and would see them at the club on a regular basis. And he's like, why is that a big deal? That is literally American history. That's literally American history. I can't. But anyway, he was living history. I know, and he just doesn't even care. Like, he doesn't understand how iconic that is. So happy we both have the Jersey Shore note. Because it's Jersey Shore! You're basically twice removed from them. I literally know Snooki. I wish. I don't, but I wish. I cannot get over how fucking perfect this GIF was for this meme. Like, the American flag bandana is just the chef's kiss that this meme needed. Also, if you're on TikTok and you want to see the meme, we're on Twitch at Walmart parking lot. The government still being in Vietnam, even though the Vietnamese and Americans want us all to leave. Literally. Like, no one had any interest in us being there except for the government themselves. I hate it here. I'm tired and I hate it here. So, one thing that we came or got out of the Vietnam War is the 26th Amendment, which I find very, very interesting. So the draft, because it was a source of major resentment, they lowered the voting age because people felt like it was bullshit that you could be 18 and you could get drafted, but you couldn't vote because the voting age used to not be 18. I think it was 21. It's an iPod shuffle clip for me. But yeah, so the 26th Amendment, they basically passed it because they were like, damn, yeah, you're kind of right. Like, if we can draft you, you'd at least be able to vote. And the reason this happened is, like, super interesting to me that in the Vietnam War, the average age of the American soldier serving was 19. In World War II, it was 26. 26 and 19 are crazy different when you think about someone's development. That is like frontal lobe on 0 to frontal lobe finished. 19-year-olds are babies and they have no long-term decision making. And like, that's what I mean when I say even a lot of the soldiers that signed up for the military are in a way victims because they did not have the maturity to deal with this, were put in situations they should not have been in, and did not know what they were getting into. 16-year-olds are being taxed without representation. Yeah, exactly. Was no one drafted pre-Vietnam War? No. In World War II, we also had the draft, but most of the people were older. So, students observed that young Americans were legally old to fight and die, but not permitted to vote or drink alcohol. So, the 26th Amendment granted suffrage to 18-year-olds. This is also a question in the trivia game. It's asking you what the 26th Amendment does. This is the answer. Lowered the voting age to 18. Sending people to war before their brain is fully developed is crazy. I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was like someone in the army just like talking to all their little army friends, and they were like, what made you join the army? What made you join the army? And all of them just looked so young. They looked like babies with their little faces. I was like, oh God, this is not good. Me seeing more Americans gained the right to vote amid all this death, racism, and chaos. A little bit of a silver lining. The rest of it's terrible, but voting is cool. We love civic engagement. That's why they were targeted. By the time they would think they're less likely to join. Did they think passing this amendment would get more Americans on their side? I guess. Bro, the army ads I get on YouTube are unskippable and so dramatic for what? I know, I fucking hate the army ads. They're literally terrible. So, let's get into what everyone came here for, drug use in Vietnam. This shit is fucking crazy. So, armed servicemen of the Vietnam War used drugs more heavily than any previous generation of enlisted U.S. troops. Would love to see the data about this today. Would love to see today's data about this. I can't stop burping. Okay, so according to a 1971 report by the Department of Defense, 51% of the armed forces had smoked marijuana, 31% had used psychedelics such as LSD, mescaline, and mescloprom mushrooms, and then 28% had taken hard drugs such as cocaine and heroin. What the fuck? My dad said he was always on something fighting in Vietnam, said he had to. This is crazy. Imagine being on mushrooms in the jungle when it's raining and people are coming out of holes in the ground shooting you. Ah! Ah! That's horrifying. But drug use was not just limited by the black market of what they could buy. Their military command also heavily prescribed pills to the troops to try and improve their performance. The U.S. military knows no bounds. Truly. They said human ethics? What's that? No wonder they couldn't tell a civilian from an opponent. Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, they're literally tripping balls. They're tripping balls in the Vietnamese jungle. How? How did the government spend $25 billion a year on this? For us to trip balls and commit civilian mass murder? Are you joking? This is a joke. And I'm not laughing because it's not funny, but this is literally a joke. How do people not know this? I didn't know this. I didn't know this. So, according to a report by the House Select Committee, the armed forces used 225 million tablets of stimulants, in addition to those amphetamines which were used to boost endurance on long missions. So literally, they'd be like, we have a fucking hike to go on. Everyone take your Adderall. It wasn't Adderall. It was like a different version of that. But basically, we're like just on crazy strong stimulants. And then ironically, they also use sedatives to help relieve anxiety and prevent mental breakdowns. Because this is the part that gets me. In World War II, they had a 10% mental breakdown rate. In Vietnam, it was only 1%. So they were like being very successful. Everyone's so calm. And like, yeah, everyone is calm when you're heavily drugging them. You don't think that's going to come back later, that you're just switching between uppers and downers constantly? Like, you don't think that's going to come back to bite us? You don't think that that's going to cause an issue? You don't think that there may be, oh, I don't know, a consequence? Here there is a consequence. So when they got back, they were dealing with PTSD and withdrawal. Yes, that's why so many of them faced addiction issues, because they were just dealing with like everything so much all the time. Thought they were drugging them in World War II as well. I think not nearly as heavily as in Vietnam. Plus the drugs had come a further way. Murder Viagra. Literally, murder Viagra is the perfect way to describe it. Me seeing that the U.S. solved its mental breakdown problem by just giving the soldiers large amounts. Be for real. 1% still feels like a lot. They're like, that's still a lot of people. Just like housewives in the 50s. Uppers to get up and downers to get your sleep. Not you calling out my grandma. Don't call her out like that. Don't call out my grandma like that. No, someone said murder Viagra, basically just like a pill that makes you like way stronger, but for a bad reason. To be honest, this explains the U.S. take on any mental health crisis. Be fucking for real. Owns only 1%. Oh yeah, that 1%, that is when they're in Vietnam. That is not tracked when they got home, by any means. That number is much, much higher, which we will be taking a look at. Okay, anyway, moving on. There's a book called Shooting Up, A Short History of Drugs in War, where this guy, Lucas Kamensky, argues that amphetamine withdrawal may be partly to blame for the atrocities committed against the Vietnamese civilian population, with strung out young servicemen overreacting to already stressful conditions of the war. So that's what I mean when I say, like, the violence and the victimness is so layered here. There's just, like, so much going on here. And like so many people are victims here, and so many people are violent here, and it's just a lot. Still, it was the illegal use of drugs that the media was really focused on, because the media was like, these motherfuckers are doing heroin and smoking pot when they're supposed to be at war, and we don't even like the war. So you're just over there chilling, doing drugs, spending millions and millions of dollars. So then a lot of people like weren't fucking with the veterans when they came back. It's literally just like a whole mess. So here's all pictures of people doing drugs in Vietnam. If you're on TikTok and you want to see the pictures, we're a Walmart parking lot on Twitch. It's free. You don't have to pay. You can see the pictures for free. So here's the one I posted on TikTok. In this photo taken from video, there's a whole video of this if you want to look it up. Soldiers in fire support bases, a small clearing in the jungle 50 miles from Saigon, smoke marijuana using the barrel of a shotgun they nicknamed Ralph. So they literally were like using the weapon and smoke weed. This is very poetic, I think. Methadone Daddy, thank you for resubscribing. 6 months. We love a 6-month subscriber. Here's picture number 2. This is the heroin detection center. So now they started to having to take drug test at war. Imagine getting drafted, them pumping you full of drugs, you starting to do heroin because you're literally like being tortured. So you turn to drugs to cope, and then they drug test you, and then you go to fucking jail. How come human trafficking is only okay when the U.S. government does it? Make it make sense. Undeveloped humans plus traumatic experiences plus buttloads of drugs plus everything else involved in the war equals a whole fucked generation. Yeah, it was very, very fucked up because it's the U.S. government, literally. Here's some people. This is some kind of pills. It's really hard to tell because the pictures are kind of grainy. Again, needles, injection. A lot going on. More smoking weed out of the gun. More smoking weed out of the gun. So, yeah. And this would be on the nightly news. I'm assuming this is where the period shotgunning came to be. I have no idea. And my grandfather is still conservative after this. If I lost my eye, I'd want to smoke a little pot too. I have both my eyes in. Let me not get myself in trouble. Let me not. Okay. Me seeing hippies who were forced to fight in a war they didn't want to fight in use drugs. Like, why are you surprised? Like, you made a bunch of anti-war hippies go fight in a war, and then they were using drugs after you already gave them drugs? What did you fucking think was gonna happen? Watching this while doing A-push homework is so camp. That is camp. I'm cool and I'm hip, and I know what camp means. This is the best class I've ever been to. Everything I do for you. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to provide. So did the government care? When marijuana widespread usage came first, the government wasn't really super into it. Like, the government kind of tolerated it because they were like, whatever, it's fine. The Chili's cup. I know, I love the Chili's cup. But that changed when John Steinbeck, who was a Vietnam soldier and the son of a Nobel Prize-winning author, wrote an article about how common the use of marijuana was among troops. So basically, he snitched on them, and then they were like, oh, fuck. We have to do something about it now because you talked about it, you know? I wish all history was taught through memes. It is here. Mustaches, thank you for subscribing. Where was I? Okay, so it set off a media firestorm. So in response to the scrutiny, the army began clamping down on marijuana usage, arresting roughly 1,000 soldiers per week for marijuana possession, while also searching out and destroying marijuana growing fields. So now the war on drugs is also in Vietnam. Why did we feel the need to do that? Why the fuck did we feel the need to do that? It was so unnecessary. In 15 years, class will be taught entirely with memes. I mean, that would get you out of the war, so I would be getting arrested. But then you have to go to jail. And that's just a different type of war. I don't think it's better. I really don't. Imagine getting drafted and then getting arrested for smoking pot because trying to cope with being forced to kill innocent people. Cheers. Party in the USA, baby. It's giving entrapment. We love criminalizing the problems they caused. Cat Fallen Angel, thank you. Subscribing. We love a subscribe with Prime. Peachy Bun, thanks for the follow. Me seeing the U.S. brought the war on drugs international to their own soldiers. That is just so crazy to me. That's what I mean when the U.S. government, really had to take a step back. Let's recognize what's going on here. Let's look, let's think, and let's listen, and let's, use critical thinking skills to see if we were making the best choices we could have possibly been making. My spirit and my soul is telling me that we're not making the best choices we could possibly be making. Someone on TikTok asked, what about African Americans in the war? We talked about it a couple minutes ago, but the whole class, all so far hour and 16 minutes, always goes on YouTube. So if you were late or you missed something, you could always watch it later. I usually get them uploaded the night of if my computer wants to cooperate. If not, more. Okay. I wanted to get more into this, but like I said, we already had 77 slides, but I could not mention this, that according to the BBC, over 100,000 children were born between local women and American soldiers. Sure, a lot of those children are products of assault. I'm gonna get that right out of the way because I'm 1,000% sure that's true. And then I also know of consensual relationships with that happened. But also when you think about consent, you have to think about the power dynamic at play. Just because someone's giving you a verbal yes, that's not necessarily consent if there's a power dynamic. So it's very hard to measure. But yeah, very yuck. It's very yuck. Also, this still fucking goes on. This is very much shameful. And if anyone brings this up, I will deny that I ever said this, despite the fact that it's literally on video. But one time I dated a guy who had been in the military. That's before I really understood. I would never date a military man again, or any man, because Mr. Redacted is literally a slave forever. But anyway, I digress. He was telling me how they all would fuck the locals. And I was like, that is gross and weird. Broke up with him very shortly after that. But yeah. These women were sleeping with the U.S. soldiers for literal survival. Yes, exactly. My boyfriend's grandma had children with 2 U.S. soldiers. That's so bad. When I see an older white man with his Asian wife nowadays, I always wonder. Yeah, I do too. Or you said I always look at them a little shady. It's my cousin is a product of this war. What the fuck is wrong with... Oh, right, in the military. Have you seen Full Metal Jacket? No, I've not. I'm sure all the drugs definitely added to the amount of assaults too. Yeah, generally large amounts of drugs is not really conducive to like a safe environment for women, especially when there's guns involved. I have not talked about Agent Orange yet. I talked about it last week. I'm going to talk about it more in a couple of minutes. Okay. As a military man, you're absolutely right. These dudes are problems. Why didn't we pull out of the war sooner? Who was making money in political gains? It's the hard-on against communism. We just want to prevent communism from spreading. We wanted to show our dick and show that we were powerful, and weapons companies were making money as well. This is kind of the military-industrial complex here. So let's talk about the media. So the credibility gap and media coverage of the war. The Vietnam War is really the first time that independent journalists were there. Before, it would really only be the military that was capturing footage, video, photos, things like that. But now, like fucking ABC, CBS, all those type of people are pulling up to Vietnam and finding out information on their own. So the media and television journalists played a really important role in presenting the war to the public, because it wasn't just coming from the military, it was coming from journalists as well. This was the first televised war because modern television reporting brought the bloody horrors of war into the average American living room. So before, when people are like, oh, war, it's really bad, but we don't really know what it's like, we've never been there, because they didn't have like the video cameras that we do now. So then when many Americans were seeing it on TV, they were like, that's really fucking bad. They were like, we knew it was bad, but like we thought it was bad in a cartoon way, and this is like horrific. And they were seeing it on TV. And then Walter Cronkite used to be like News Daddy, the OG News Daddy, and was like super non-biased, and people really liked him. So when Walter Cronkite in 1967 was like, I do not fuck with this war, like, I'll say it with my chest, I am against the war, that made a lot of Americans be like, I am also against the war, because someone that they trusted and someone that had like very up-to-date information is against it, they're also going to be against it. The idea of a televised war. My mom watched her high school boyfriend get killed live on TV. Oh my God. That's literally Hunger Games. I have nothing to say to that. I've never been silent in my life. There's literally nothing that's ever made me be silent. Holy shit. Imagine that. Is your mom okay? Probably not. Yeah. Yeah, rest in peace. That really, oh my God. So, continuing to talk about the media, because Jesus Christ. Oh, I worked in a grocery store where veterans would get dropped off to go shopping, old person bus, and many of them would be shopping with their Vietnam vet memorabilia and their Asian wives. I want to talk to her about that, I think. Her parents tried to convince her she was wrong, but 3 days later, his mom confirmed his death. Oh. Yeah, that's going to stick with her, you know? That's not good. I'm glad we all just had to sit with that for a second. Please send your mom our condolences. I can't even imagine. Yeah. That's oh God. The U.S. government deserves so much less than what they have. I hope your mom is okay. Okay, but American political leaders realized that they had a problem here because they were like, fuck, we have to fight this war, and the entire American public hates us. So that's not good. And their concern to impress the public favorably often led to them twisting the facts. So now they had a credibility gap because the government was going on the news and being like, this is what's going on, and everything's going really well. And then CBS would be like, we're here, and that's not what's going on, and things are not going well. So Americans just like really started to question that and really not be okay with it. For a specific example, President Johnson claimed that a bombing had injured a few North Vietnamese civilians, but then a New York Times reporter who was in Vietnam found the opposite and said, no, it injured a fucking lot of civilians. So Johnson told the Americans that the U.S. was winning the war, but the public received a different impression from nightly broadcast on television, and people began to lose faith in the trustworthiness of their own government. So here's some pictures of journalists during the war. So you can see like the camera footage. Trigger warning, there's some violent photos here just to let you know. If you're on TikTok Live, on Twitch, a Walmart parking lot on Twitch is how you can see the photos. How did they think they could just casually die? Because it was the first time that there were really a ton of journalists there. So they were like, ooh, we thought we could get away with that. So, yeah, that's like super not ideal, but you know. Oh, I'll see a lot of people asking about Henry Kissinger. I didn't have info on him because I didn't want to like keep it focused on any one politician. But he was the Secretary of State under Richard Nixon and Ford, and he like pushed for the war and was like, we need to go there. So he was like kind of one of the driving forces behind this. But anyway, let's look at the rest of the photos. So here's another one. You can see tons of camera footage, or tons of camera crews, lots of soldiers with cameras, lots of, you see ABC News in Vietnam. And then here's people on TV, like, or not people, here's people watching TV and literally like the violence of the war on TV in their living rooms every single night. When America faces the smallest amount of accountability for the first time ever. Yeah, for real. Literally like accountability on zero. Here's more pictures with footage you can see being taken, more journalists. And then here again, journalists, CBS News, interviewing soldiers, things like that. So the American public was like really not fucking with the war because they kind of saw like what was happening from someone with a less biased perspective. Behind the Bastard podcast has a few episodes on Kissinger. Very good, highly recommend. I love that my high school did teach us this, and I'm guessing it's because the teacher there has LBJ's face tattooed on her body. That's a lot. Have someone tattooed on you. Americans seeing the bloody reality of war on their TV screen for the first time. Very jarring, very not a good time. I can see why people did not like that. I'm teaching the history of journalism in my journalism class, and this is actually very helpful. I'm so glad this is helpful. I love being helpful to people. Made it from TikTok. Welcome. Having any president tatted on you is crazy behavior. That is a lot. My mother always said you should never get a tattoo for someone unless they're dead, because alive people will fuck you over later and you never know what's going to happen. But a dead person, it's a memoriam. But then I heard about this story of someone who got a tattoo like for somebody, I don't remember their relation, and then it came out later that that person like fucked them over and they just didn't know about it. But anyway, let's continue. Jimmy Carter's the only exception. So why was this war unwinnable? We're going to talk about like how the war wrapped up and how it kind of not ended, but how the U.S. got out. So Ho Chi Minh and the other North Vietnamese leaders had been fighting to achieve control over a unified Vietnam since 1946, and they were willing to sustain large losses to obtain their goal because it's their land. They're going to defend their land. They're not just going to fold to anyone that comes through. So increasing casualties did not weaken their like morale. It actually strengthened it because they were like, you cannot just continue to kill people. We're going to fight even harder. And then, where was I? As Americans sent in more troops, so did North Vietnam, and the North Vietnamese soldiers were also able to obtain supplies from the governments of China and the Soviet Union. So as the U.S. is pouring in tons of money and tons of resources, so are the allies to the North Vietnamese as well. So that's kind of why it kept dragging on for so long, because both sides were extremely well funded and had tons of resources and money to fight. So American leaders might have pulled out of the war. They felt they could not win, but they were afraid that this would affect the popularity inside the U.S. Johnson did not want to be accused of giving into communist or appearing weak, so he continued to escalate the war rather than abandon South Vietnam, because again, there was no capitalist government in South Vietnam that we were fighting with. So since American leaders would not pull out and North Vietnamese leaders would not give in, that's why it just kept dragging on and on and on and on. Could you teach my Spanish class next? That's what I should be watching. I downloaded, which was I cannot teach Spanish. But then under Nixon's policy of Vietnamization, the Vietnamese assumed the brunt of the fighting because Nixon was gradually withdrawing American combats. from Vietnam, and he ended the draft. At the same time, he increased American bombing missions. So Nixon's strategy was like, I'll pull out the people and bring in more of the bombs here. On my last stream about this, we looked at a map of the bombing. It was like really a lot and not good. So yeah, he increased the bombing and then increased economic support to the South Vietnamese soldiers that they did fuck with. And Nixon believed that the war could be shortened if supply routes were cut off. But the problem is they like kept trying to bomb the supply routes, but the supply routes were very basic. Like they weren't high tech, so they would just rebuild them like in 2 seconds because they were super basic. And yes, you can watch my previous streams on YouTube. All of them are on YouTube. So how did we end up coming out of the war? National Security Advisor, I'm so tongue twisted. National Security Advisor Henry Kissinger continued secret negotiations with the North Vietnamese in Paris, and then in January 1973, he concluded that the Paris Peace Accords, a ceasefire agreement with North Vietnam based on the withdrawal of all U.S. troops from Vietnam. Under that agreement, the U.S. was permitted to continue providing military and economic aid to South Vietnam. So, like, normally in a war, you would have, like, a treaty and, like, an official, like, declaration of the end of the war. But because we never declared war, that's why it's just, like, this kind of weird in-between. And yes, Cambodia still has live bombs in their country. Yes, lots of these areas, they find, like, bombs underground that some of them are still live. Where was I? Even after American withdrawal, bitter fighting continued in Southeast Asia, and in April 1975, both Cambodia and South Vietnam were under communist forces, and Vietnam was united under Vietnamese communist leadership, just as Ho Chi Minh originally intended. So whenever I see Republicans wearing that shirt that's like, undefeated champions of war, USA, I'm like, according to who? According to whom's? According to who? Who said that? So here's pictures of that agreement being signed. And then this is the part that's interesting. This is another effect. Basically, if you remember last week, I told you that Congress never declared war. Instead, they just gave the authority to the president to basically do whatever the fuck they wanted. So as a result of this, Congress was like, damn, we kind of fumbled on that. So they passed the War Powers Act, which limits the president's power to commit U.S. troops overseas. Basically, within 2 days of committing troops to combat, the president must make a report to Congress, and then the troops must be withdrawn within 60 days unless Congress authorizes a longer commitment. So beforehand, when they were like, do whatever the fuck you want, like, you're the president, do whatever the fuck you want. Now they're like, so we actually have rules, and that's not how we're going to do things. They thought they ate. It's the back-to-back World War Champs 2. Yeah, it's really not great. Also, if you're on TikTok right now, my phone's about to die. I'm sorry. Okay, so here's an entire timeline. Ho Chi Minh declares independence in 1945, and then first American troops arrive in Vietnam in 1965, and then the last American troops left in 1973. So this is the whole timeline of the entire war. So long-term effects and impacts on Vietnam. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to go through every single impact because a war this long and that many people dying, the impact is absolutely immeasurable. But after years of warfare, an estimated 2 million Vietnamese people were killed, while 3 million were wounded, and another 12 million became refugees. A lot of Vietnamese refugees came to the U.S. Also, I don't know if this is true, but my dad told me that in Vietnam, they call it the War of American Aggression, which, great name. No notes, absolutely. But a lot of Vietnamese refugees came to the U.S., which kind of sucks, because it's like, damn, now I have to go be there after what you did. But anyway, warfare had demolished the country's infrastructure and economy, and reconstruction proceeded slowly. In 1976, Vietnam was unified as the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Though sporadic violence continued over the next 15 years, including conflicts with the neighbors China and Cambodia. Under a broad free market policy put in place in 1986, the economy began to improve, which was boosted by oil export revenues and trading with foreign capital. And then the U.S. started trading and having diplomatic relationships in Vietnam in the 1990s. So that's kind of a timeline of end of the war to how we got to where we are now, having like a relatively normal relationship, I guess. But yeah, tons of people died. The infrastructure was destroyed. I mean, it was a war zone for over a decade. You can imagine, I'm sure. I know in the show Unbreakable Schmidt, a character says War of American Aggression, didn't know it was a real term. My family are Viet refugees in Oklahoma too. Huh. Was this at the same time that they started the American concentration camps for American Vietnamese people? I think you might be thinking of the World War II Japanese concentration camps, but because the U.S. government is racist, a lot of Asian people who were not Japanese ended up there as well. That was before this, but very much also not okay. Lauren Espanola, subscribe with Prime. Thank you. Okay, now let's talk about the long-term effects of Agent Orange. We talked about Agent Orange last week. Basically, Agent Orange is like a plant killer. It's an herbicide, and they would drop it on the plants. Like, they would go in planes and then drop it on the entire jungle. Because remember when I said the Vietnamese would fight in tunnels? They'd be in the jungle, they'd be in the trees, like holes in the ground, popping out at soldiers. Like, they were guerrilla warfare fighting. Our government was like, if we kill the trees, they have nowhere to hide. So they start dropping Agent Orange everywhere and killing tons of trees. Millions of gallons of the toxic herbicide had been dumped by U.S. planes on the forest. Not only did it affect those with direct contact, but it affected their families as well, because if you're exposed to it, it can lead to birth defects and issues in your children if you were exposed to it, along with harmfulness to your health, the person who had the exposure. And then here's a picture of the plane dumping the Agent Orange. And then here's a picture of the effects. So you can see it's like a big lush jungle, and then just everything dies. And the soldiers were literally just like in the plane with their hands, like just dumping it. Like, they had no protective gear. They didn't do research about what was going to happen to you. They weren't wearing masks, anything like that. Like, they literally were just like, no safety, just vibes. Spreading poison in the most biodiverse place on the planet, literally. My great uncle was exposed to Agent Orange badly when he was in Vietnam. God, I have a client who was in contact. His daughter died young, and honestly, I have no idea how he's lived this long. Destroy the environment to win the war that's not an actual war. They dumped it by hand. Well, I think it was like from the plane, but they were in the plane like getting stuff ready, and they didn't use gloves or gas mask or anything like that. And the government was just like, yeah, it's fine, probably. Hence my meme here. Me realizing that this is an environmental disaster in addition to being a human rights disaster. It's like, as if this wasn't enough. As if this wasn't enough. Did America ever actually get for this? I don't think so. They were like, PPE who? No PPE. Just vibes. Yeah. I grew up seeing deformities from Agent Orange. Have a common one. Gulf of Tonkin incident. Ooh, we talked about this last week. Legit or another false pretense for war? So Gulf of Tonkin, we were in the bay right next to Vietnam. Their ships were like, hello, what, hi, and like pulled up next to us, and then we shot warning shots, and then they shot us, and then we entered the war. So to me, that's our fault, but I'll let you draw your own conclusions. Can we just have a filler episode where the U.S. stays in its lane and doesn't commit war crimes? No, we cannot. America said, 2 birds, 1 stone, people and the environment, score. My grandma's husband dumped it from planes, and he definitely described holding handfuls because they had no idea what it was. Yeah, exactly. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So these are the effects on Agent Orange. The effects on U.S. veterans seem to be different than the effects on the Vietnamese population. I'm sure that there's a lot of crossover and people experience the same things, but I think it's just the nature of handling something directly versus something coming down and being in your atmosphere is going to cause different problems, if that makes sense. So this is from a U.S. veterans website. It has all these different issues that can be caused by Agent Orange. I'm not going to read them, but there's a lot of them right there. You can see Parkinson's, cancers, soft tissue scleromas, lots of really not okay things. And studies show that veterans exposed to Agent Orange who had children after the war had a 13% chance of having a child with birth defects, whereas normally it is only 2.8%. So causes a lot of issues for future generation. Did the U.S. lose the war? Technically, your teacher who said no one lost or won, it's because we never declared war, but we left because we weren't winning. Generally, if we're winning, we stay. And then in the Vietnamese population, it is considered to be the cause of abnormally high incidences of miscarriage, skin disease, cancers, birth defects, and other malformations. And spina bifida is a common birth defect in fetuses that had a parent exposed to Agent Orange. So yeah, lots of veterans, lots of Vietnamese people at the time, and then lots of children for generations and generations have issues from this chemical herbicide. The U.S. government, when soldiers asked if Agent Orange was safe, because they really did no tests on it to like make sure what they were having people be in contact with was safe for them, like, that seems not allowed. How long did it take for the jungle to come back, or did it ever? I don't know. I would say it probably varied place to place, but I think by now we're probably back. Me to the U.S. government after learning that they not only poisoned our drafted soldiers, but also babies for generations to come. Because, like, who the fuck do we think we are? Quite literally, who the fuck do we think we are? Who do we think we are? It's fucked up. It's gross and fucked up. So, other long-term effects and impacts more on the U.S. side. In the United States, lots of long-term impacts, but mainly the nation spent more than $120 billion on the conflict, which led to really widespread inflation and exacerbated worldwide oil crisis and skyrocketed fuel prices. So, super not great for us, really not a good time, not a vibe, and people in America were pissed because we wasted all of our money on this. But now let's talk about what I think is one of the most important things to talk about, PTSD. I actually have PTSD. It sucks ass. I don't have it from the Vietnam War. My Vietnam War was making bad choices. But yeah, PTSD sucks ass. I really hate it. I give it 0 stars. It's so not fun. And my PTSD is not nearly as bad as like a veteran's would be. My PTSD is like pretty manageable. And so I know when I feel a certain type of way, I'm like, damn. Imagine being in a literal war zone. Public education was your nom. No, I have PTSD from other stuff. Love oversharing. See PTSD baddies. Sometimes I remember that people I know watch this and I'm like, oh, I'm just talking about my PTSD alive. But anyway, in the Vietnam War, 15 out of every 100 Vietnam veterans were currently diagnosed with PTSD. At the time of the most recent study in the 80s, but now it's estimated that 30% of them had PTSD in their lifetimes because PTSD can come out later as well. And they reported lower satisfaction with their marriage, sex life, and life in general. They also indicated to have more parenting difficulties, higher divorce rate, lower happiness, more physical health complaints such as fatigue, aches, colds, and then veterans with chronic PTSD were more likely to be smokers. And then the other part that's really, really sad to me is that almost half of the enlisted men serving in the army had tried one of 2 opioids, heroin or opium, and then 20% of them became addicted while they were there. And they found a really common factor for addiction was the support system when they came home. So soldiers that had a good support system were more likely to kind of be like, oh, I'm going to leave the drugs in Vietnam and like now get back to my routine. But a lot of soldiers that were coming back without a support system, without a family, without a job, without a routine, fell really, really, really badly into drug addiction and then passed away from drug addiction, which is just so heartbreaking to me that like a ton of these young men probably had very valuable futures, got sent to this war, and then addiction just took over because addiction sucks. Like addiction's a disease. It's a very real disease and it sucks ass, and it's really sad that it happened to these people. I also wanted to talk about racism and PTSD is probably not the best title I could have come up with. But anyway, in the mid-1980s, African American veterans of the Vietnam War were twice as likely as white veterans to experience PTSD. At a prevalence of 40%. And the reason that was listed here, let's talk about it, destigmatize PTSD, you guys. But anyway, the reason for the disparity, the theory is that social and racial discord during the war and this is in the part that's crazy. So part of the PTSD is racism from like other soldiers, like racism from the US government, racism from other soldiers. That makes sense. This is the part that's crazy. Their theory is that Black soldiers were more likely than white soldiers to relate to the Vietnamese people. And they're saying like, because a lot of the Black soldiers had experienced racism and experienced poverty, they had a lot more empathy And that's why they had much higher rates of PTSD, which is crazy to me and very layered. And it's been speculated that the white troops were more able to dehumanize the Vietnamese people than the black troops were. So like African American soldiers were like, this is a person that I'm killing, when white soldiers, it was like easier for them to be like, whatever, which kind of makes sense if you think about it, because the core of empathy is relating to someone else. So like if you're a person that's experienced violence, you're going to be a lot more likely to empathize with someone that's experiencing violence. So it makes sense that like how white supremacy is also ingrained in this on the side of both the Vietnamese people under attack and the African American soldiers that were like being victimized by the US military. This class is heavy, right? I debated including that, but I was like, I can't just sit on that knowledge by myself. Hearing Muhammad Ali about the war echoes this. The fact that this all tracks, right? It's really like, it just makes your brain think about it in a very different way. At least for me, I was like, when I read it, I was kind of jarred, and then I was like thinking about it more, and I was like, wow, I want to take a psychology of war class because damn, right? Isn't this crazy? Did you talk about the Black Power movement in relation to the war? No, but I have another stream where I talk about the Black Power movement and kind of how it's linked to the anti-war sentiment. So not today, but I have talked about that, and I want to talk about it more because it is very interesting. Pretty much all social movements are tied together and ingrained together. Can you talk about the Tet Offensive? I did last week, and it is on YouTube if you would like to learn. No, I truly appreciate it, just opening my eyes a bit more, right? We're all benefiting from learning. But anyway, now that we just had the most depressing thing ever, we're going to play a game. So I'm putting the link in the chat, and I'll put the directions. You don't have to play. You can still hang out with us. It's fine. Should we do the jungle one, or is that insensitive? But if you want to play, you can either go to the link that I just put in the chat, or if you go to join.nearpod.com and put in that code, then you can join. If you're like watching me on TV, you can do it on a phone if you want to do it in a new tab, but you definitely don't have to play this game with us if you don't want to. You can still hang out. We'll still be talking and chilling. You don't have to make an account. You don't have to enter your email. You don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is enter a name, but it doesn't have to be your name, and it will come up on the screen. So don't put your government name if you don't want to. But I'll go ahead and let people join. Oh my god, so many people already in the game. Here again. Oh, and they have an app, but you don't have to use the app. If you go in a browser, you can do it from the browser. If you just go to like Google Nearpod, and you can do it from the browser. I love Nearpod, right? I love Nearpod too. Oh my god. So, oh wait, is this a surprise? She's probably not watching. Whatever. So we're throwing a little like baby shower thing. I work for somebody, and it's on Zoom because we all work in different parts of the state. And so I'm in charge of the games, and we're using Nearpod. And it's going to be this game, but it's going to be Guess the Celebrity Baby. Right? There's a whole crew of us. We're going to go full T-Swift Ticketmaster on this poor site. No, you're fine. Normally, there's a limit of 100 people, but on my first stream, which my first stream ever was about the Vietnam War, so much of a better vibe now. Like, I've gotten so much better at streaming. Just like humble brag on myself. But anyway, the code is FW25I. I'll put it in the too. But anyway, what was I saying? On my first stream, it only let 100 people join, so I reached out to Nearpod, and I was like, hey, we're selling, give me the best account you possibly can, because I had already paid for the highest level account you can have, and I never realized I had a limit of 100 people, because I'd only used it in a classroom with like 30 kids at a time max. So I reached out to Nearpod and was like, hey, this whole limit of 100 is not fucking working for me. And then they gave me this like mega cool account that you can't even buy this, but the limit is 500, I think. Do not talk to me Taylor Swift pre-sale. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it either. I'm so sad I have to go through the Vietnam War so quickly with my students. Tell them to watch this. You might get fired, but they'll love it. Oh my god, I can't believe there's 139 people in the game. That's crazy. Okay, big Nearpod fans rise up. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple more seconds to join the game, and then we'll get started. My MacBook book sounds like it is about to take off right now. Also, I cannot believe we've been here for an hour and 47 minutes. I literally love this for us. Wow. Live and flyover states, we got T-Swift tickets. All right, I'm hitting start. If you are not on the game yet, it will let you join late. You can still join. I'm turning it down. Oh, I legit did not know where that noise was coming from. Yeah, that's fully my computer about to take off into the sunset. The TikToks about the tour depress me. Me too. It just feels like we're creating a really negative competitive energy, and I really don't like it. Okay, what did we learn about today? Also, there can be more than one right answer. Just FYI. I jumped on Twitch because I didn't want to deal with your phone dying on me. So valid. I think I'm at like 5% on my phone. And the Monopoly, though, for real. Correct, everything was right except George Bush. We did not talk about George Bush today. That's how my MacBook sounds on Photoshop, Twitch, and 15 web browsers. No, literally. The U.S. declared war on Vietnam. Is that true or false? First year teacher here. How's it going? How are you living? How are you laughing? How are you loving? Are you okay? Probably not, but I hope you are. I am still like very shook at how many people are on this game right now. The fact that there's 235 people on the Nearpod, like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm feeling really perceived right now. I kind of like it though. I'm such a little attention whore. Like, I joke, but I eat this shit up. I love this. This is like the most fun in life. My greatest honor, my greatest privilege, and my greatest joy is to be annoying on the internet and teach other people about history so that they can be as insane and as annoying as I am. I am just creating a community of annoying history people, and that is my dream goal. I teach in Florida, not a vibe. This cue got me. How many shots were fired against the men of the Charlie Company at My Lay? I have a paper due at midnight and work at 6 a.m. Why am I here? Because we're having fun. That's why you're here. Me try to answer as fast as possible, but I'm illiterate. Oh, so on this game, it measures if you're right and how fast you are. You have to be right and fast. I love that you're a teacher that said this will be on the quiz. Because, like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, what? I want you to do well. They're going to yell at me if you do bad. I teach space science, and I love seeing the hyper kids who love attention because that was so me, and now I always have an audience because it's literally such a sleigh. I'm 2 edibles deep and living for this. I've like barely drank this drink, but it's still cold because Chili's gave me a koozie. I love this. I love this. It's what I deserve. Truly. Y'all are taking a while on this question. Oh, I told you this one's a hard one. This is math. This is literally like in the SAT, this question right now. I only gave you one hard one. The rest of them I feel like pretty easy. Do you feel God in this Chili's tonight? I feel God in myself always. I don't know what I'm doing next week. Oh wait, next week's Thanksgiving. I don't know if I can stream next week. I don't know what's happening with that. I'll keep y'all posted. Maybe I will. Wednesday before Thanksgiving stream, question mark, maybe? Possibly, maybe Tuesday. Maybe I'll stream on Tuesday next week. I think that'll be a vibe. I have your stream on Apple Play on my TV. I'm so deep into this lesson, I don't even care that I have to be using my phone. Oh my god, that's an honor. Getting them wrong because I came late. I'm running out of Ken Burns jokes. Please, it'll be a little piece before Family Feuds on Thanksgiving. But I'm flying to my family on Wednesday, so I don't know if I can stream on Wednesday. Do you stream a lot? Oh, for those of you that are new here, so I stream, my usual schedule is every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. stream. Some kind of history topic. Maybe I'll stream next week, honestly. I'll just tell my family, like, you have to get over it. Sorry, I'm streaming. But yeah, some kind of history topic that I do on stream. It's usually modern U.S. history. But yeah, every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. All of them get uploaded to YouTube as well. And you can watch them later if you would like. There's no paywall, but you can subscribe if you want to use my custom. There's some funny ones. Would be so grateful if you do the stream. I want to figure out a way to do it. I might just have to do it in the early afternoon. Like if I did like a 5 p.m. stream on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, could we be fucking with that? How are we feeling about that? I would have to do it. So my mom is like a LinkedIn girly. Like she does LinkedIn Live all the time. So I'd have to do it in her LinkedIn Live studio. So it wouldn't be, the vibes would be kind of putrid. Ginger Girly 14, thank you for subscribing, Rhyme, for 2 months. Switch to Twitch, don't want to lose you. Thank you. I have no idea how my phone is not dead. I have no idea because it was at like 30% when I started and I've literally been live for 2 hours. I'm back for the last few minutes. Welcome. I don't like how you can't change answers. I'm sorry, I also don't like it. As a teacher with Wednesday off that's not traveling, Tuesday would be prime. I'll see. See. Let me talk to Fraz because we usually record the podcast on Tuesday, so I have to make sure we don't conflict with that, but that might be the plan. I think that makes the most sense. All right, we're on question 8 of 10. Woohoo! I'm so mad at myself for missing today. I love streams. It's okay. It'll be on YouTube, and we'll be here or not next week. You know what I mean? Da, 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 da. I don't understand the drug questions. Against the direction of the U.S. military is like, what were they not supposed to be using, and then what were they supposed to be using? Okay, these last two These last two are testing my ability to completely read the question first. I wanted to give y'all a hard one because I knew there was going to be a lot of people here, and I wanted it to be hard. I wanted to give you a challenge. This is good for your brain. It's good for you. Trust me. What factors contributed to the lack of public support for the war? Tuesday, please. History of Thanksgiving. I think that's the plan. It might just be a little late. Instead of 7:30, it might be closer to 8. And it might be a little bit shorter for the holiday. And I want to do history of Thanksgiving, but I'm not really that old, like into American history. I'm more into new American history. Gilbaby1738, thank you for subscribing. And my YouTube username is a Walmart parking lot. I am a Walmart parking lot everywhere. I decided that y'all just needed that consistency. What do you think of Ken Burns' The Vietnam War? I haven't seen it since I've learned everything that I've learned, so I need to rewatch it to give you like a fully formulated opinion. When did the last troops return home? This is our last question. This has been so fun. We were here for literally 2 hours and there were so many of us and I had such a fun time. And if this was your first stream, I really hope that you come back because the vibes are always immaculate. And if you are gonna pick one stream, like if you're like, I wanna watch a YouTube stream, I don't know which one to watch. Anthrax Attacks is a crazy one. Anthrax Attacks is a really crazy one if you want to watch a YouTube one. Maybe do something on the way the current government. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Okay, but let's give a congrats to our top 10. We have Holiday in first place, then Allie, Mare, Elizabeth, Salem, Aurelio, BB, Larissa, Mookat, Ab, and Cutie, and then I will scroll through the rest. Thank you all so much. I could not believe there were so many people on here playing this game. I am so honored. It is a privilege and a joy to teach you all history. I cannot believe that people on the internet want to spend their Wednesday night with me and hang out and learn something that blows my mind, like super fucking, but it just makes me so grateful and I'm so happy that you're here and it's such a joy and such an honor. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll hang out for a couple more minutes. I am going to turn off the TikTok live now because my phone is about to die. But if you want to add a meme, a family story, a comment, anything, you can put it up on this board on the Nearpod. Love you so much. Ended the TikTok live. Holy shit. That was a good live. Damn. I honestly like slay on today doing numbers. Everyone practice self-care after that heavy class. Yeah, exactly. Everyone take care of yourself. Anthrax Attacks is in my YouTube queue. I'm gonna watch it next. Melatonin, thank you for subscribing with Prime. Ooh, men are being gross on the internet. Delete. Goodbye. Delete. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. And to everyone that made a Twitch account for me, thank you. That is such an honor. As a fellow new history person, I totally get your feels about the old American shit. It's just like hard to relate to. I knew the answers, but the wording was confusing. I wanted to keep you on your toes. Oh my God. That's funny. Thank you. I needed an excuse to make an account, so thank you. His favorite parasocial relationship we love. Aw, this is so nice. Thank you for getting free classes on important topics. Always, knowledge should be free. In high school, we read a book about the Vietnam War. It was 2012, so I was listening to iPods and the class was new. I listened to Mumford & Sons while reading to the point that I get them when I get Vietnam flashbacks. Oh my God. Okay. Serving your community. This is honestly, exactly. All right, thank you so much. We have been here for 2 hours. I'm going to go eat some dinner. This was amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you join us in our future endeavors. But have a good night. Sleep, make good decisions. Love yourself. Love your sisters. And rest in peace to all of the victims of this war. That's where we'll sign off. Rest in peace to every victim on every side. You deserved better from everybody. We are so sorry. I'm not going to say thank you for your service because you're a victim. But love you all. Good night. Mwah.